What is going on, everyone, and welcome to episode 18 of the Mark and Graham podcast. I'm Logan, and this is my co-host, Mark. It has been a while due to the quarantine, but we are back, and we are better than ever. Mark, how you been, my brother?
Good. It's been a minute since we did our last podcast. There really wasn't too much to talk about recently, but we finally have made it. We have opening day for baseball tomorrow, thank God, followed by the NBA bubble quickly, playoff hockey, and then before we know it's going to be the NFL season. I'm psyched.
Now, Mark, to really start off the show, what are you most excited for when it comes to, don't be specific yet, but in terms of just broader things, what are you most excited for in terms of sports coming back?
I mean, you know me. I'm the biggest baseball fan of any of the sports. I know that's rare in today's day and age. A lot of the younger generation follows basketball and hockey basketball and football more closely. But I'm psyched for opening day. That's the most American thing we have in sports, and it looks like finally we are gonna have that. It sucks that there's gonna be no fans in the stands. We might have some cardboard cutouts in most stadiums, which will be interesting. But I'm just looking forward. I'm looking forward to watching some baseball on Friday.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that, sports being back is enough. I'm not sure how it'll be without fans. Definitely different. And Mark, I don't know how they're going to go about miking players up, but I feel like without fans, we can hear everything the players say. And I'm not sure everything the players are saying are, TV appropriate. But obviously, because this episode is Welcome Back Sports, there's going to be a lot of predictions and lists throughout this episode. So we're going to kick it right off with our Odd Man Out episode. And these are things that me and Mark are most looking forward to in terms of sports coming back. So, Mark, if you want to kick off the list, and let's hear your 5, 4, and 3.
Yeah, so it goes with hand in hand with what I just said. I'm most excited for baseball, absolutely. And at my number 5 spot, I just put Sunday Night Baseball. It's something I look forward to every single week. Always the marquee matchup, and I believe Major League Baseball already came out with all of their games. It's a great slate. It starts with tomorrow's game, which is, of course, going to be Scherzer and Garrett Cole going at it. Nationals, Yankees. It should be an excellent game. But after that, every single Sunday Night Baseball game, I feel like it really caps off your week. Watching baseball at night, there's nothing that beats it for me. It's just like Sunday Night Football. Great way to start your week. That's my number 5. Number 4, I have my guy, Ben Simmons. And I'm excited to see what the quarantine has done to him. Is there any way that if Ben Simmons was ever
Ben Simmons?
That's my
out of everything you're excited, Ben Simmons? Oh, whatever, man.
If there was ever time for him to learn a 3-point shot, it's in quarantine, and it's playing in front of no fans. Everybody knows that Ben Simmons has grown up as the king of Australia. He has been a very criticized prodigy his entire life and hates to deal with any sort of failure, and that's why he has such an issue shooting a 3-ball in front of a arena full of Philadelphia fans. If there's any time, it's going to be in the NBA bubble. And I'll tell you right now, I would 100%, if you're a betting man, bet the prop that Ben Simmons hits a 3 on opening night for the Sixers.
Here's the thing with the Sixers, and it's pretty interesting because they moved Ben Simmons to the 4, which I think is a great idea, and I think that's such a mismatch for power forwards in the NBA. But Mark, I don't know if you know this, but when Horford, Embiid, and Simmons are all on the court together, they have the worst plus-minus ratio in the NBA. So, the Sixers have some work that has to be done. But yes, I definitely think that the Sixers are one of those teams that will benefit with no fans, because I feel like when you get inside of Ben Simmons' head, it's game over. So
yeah, I agree there. And I think getting Al Horford, they finally made the decision he's going to come off the bench, which I agree that's the better place for him. Though I loved the signing of Al Horford, but I didn't love it in the starting lineup. I liked it because the Sixers lost in the playoffs last year because Embiid had nobody to spell him minutes when he got tired. Now you have Al Horford coming off the bench where he's more going to play that role of letting Embiid rest and be at his best late in the game. and Shake Milton is in the starting lineup, who's a much better scorer and shooter, which is what Philly really needs. I don't love Shake Milton, but I like the fact that he can score and he can shoot.
Okay, and then what do you have for your 3?
My number 3 spot is just playoff baseball. That's coming down the line, but I think we can all agree October baseball is the best to watch. And it seems like the MLB season could be really fun for a lot of people because everyone's biggest gripe is that games don't matter. Why should I ever tune into a game in July? Well, a 60-game season, it's almost like every game's a playoff game.
Exactly. Every game matters. It's like you're playing post All-Star game baseball every single game. And the fact that all the players are going to be healthy is even better.
Mm-hmm.
So looking at my list, I'm going to start with number 5. Like you said, baseball nights. I'm looking forward to NFL Sundays, Mark. I'm looking forward to sitting on my couch all day with Red Zone going on. I miss those days. I miss pulling hair out over fantasy football. I miss football in general. I miss watching Saquon Barkley break off 80-yard touchdowns. I miss making fun of the Cowboys after every time they lose. I miss Monday mornings on First Take when Stephen Smith would come in with his cowboy hat, making fun of the Cowboys. The little things like that. Mark, I think Eagles-Giants is going to be interesting this year. I think the Giants are really going to give the Eagles a run for their money. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I go back and forth because I think I'm not sold on Daniel Jones yet. I do like him better than I like Haskins, but I think it's a 2-horse race pretty much in the East. I am a little scared of the Cowboys this year. I thought they had a great offseason and a really phenomenal draft, as much as it pains me to say it. The one thing I will always be able to bank on, though, is the Dak Prescott choke job. So
yes,
we can all count on that. But I think the Giants are going to – it's Daniel Jones' time to decide what he is. Because exactly. I don't think last year – who he kind of reminds me of is both of the New York quarterbacks, I think, are in very similar situations where they could go either way. They could go bust, but they could also be an unbelievably good young quarterback and upgrade themselves into that Josh Allen, Deshaun Watson, Carson Wentz, that sort of class, that right below the top tier. And
I'm a big Josh Allen guy. Continue what you were saying.
No, I agree. He's my guy. I love him. And it's going to be interesting to see. There's a lot of young quarterbacks who have a lot to prove this year. I'm interested to see Tua and Joe Burrow. The rookies are going to be fun to watch.
Oh, they are. So number 4, I'm very, very excited to see college conference-only football. I know a lot of people are a little upset by that, but if you look at college football schedules, every college team inflates their record in the beginning of the season with these BS games where they win 56-0 and that's it. Conference-only football, every game matters. And I think it's going to be really exciting to see teams like Ohio State, teams like Florida, teams like LSU, right off the bat having to play really good teams. We're not seeing Appalachian State versus Michigan week 1. We're getting Big Ten. We're getting Ohio State, Penn State week 2 of the season. Things like that. And I'm really excited to see that. Number 3, just seeing how the NBA bubble plays out. Just in general. I think Adam Silver's done a great job, and I'll touch up on that later in the episode. But Mark, from a fan standpoint, do you feel like the bubble is going to be a great success, or because I'm truly interested just to see how this plays out?
So there's multiple ways to look at it. One is the success rate in terms of health, you can't argue with. There's been 0 positive cases, and that's something that Adam Silver, the entire NBA, they all deserve credit for that because they've found a way. I don't think this is going to be – it hasn't been the same case for baseball. Baseball's traveling. They weren't able to figure out a bubble system. And, you even see it now with the Toronto Blue Jays. They don't even have a place to play right now. They're still trying to figure that out.
And Pittsburgh just ruled out that – yeah. It's crazy.
Exactly. So, but the one issue I do have is I think when we start watching basketball in a couple weeks and it's the regular season games closing out, you're not going to notice too much of a difference. No fans isn't going to bother you. But all I have to say is think about what's going to happen when we get to the end of the playoff run. When you're in your
Ooh,
conference finals and the finals, and they are playing in an empty gym, some of the biggest games. Just look back at the Last Dance. All
I
of
didn't
those
even think about
moments,
that.
like imagine those moments without fans. Imagine LeBron's block without fans.
It
Like
doesn't. It just
these,
doesn't. It seems like
no.
practice.
And it's sad to say because we're both LeBron guys, but if there's a very good chance he's going to go out there and win his fourth championship this year in the bubble. And those moments, no matter how you slice it, they're not going to be as memorable as Jordan's moments
Oh no, 100% not. And
because
but
it's an empty gym.
that's just the deck of cards they were dealt. It's just what it is. So,
Exactly.
Mark, what do you have for number 1 and 2 and 6? If you want to give us your six first, or you can give us your 1 and 2.
I'll start with my odd man out at number 6. It was just because it's my least favorite of the four major sports, but I have to get excited for some Flyers playoff hockey. Um, Playoff hockey is fun to watch. It's no matter how you
It
slice it.
is. It's very good to watch.
I don't watch regular season games at all, really, but I am a Flyers fan. I know enough about the team. All my roommates are Rangers fans, so that's going to be fun to see how that shapes up. But the Flyers were actually phenomenal this year. They're one of the top 4 seeds in the East. So I am excited to watch some playoff hockey. When you go this long without any sports at all, it makes you more like accepting of sports like hockey, soccer, golf that you might not have
Hell,
ever
I was
played in your
excited to
entire
watch.
life.
I was excited to watch golf. Like, I never
Exactly.
get excited to watch golf.
No, exactly. That's how I feel about hockey right now. And then in the number 2 spot, I'm going with Lakers versus Clippers in the playoffs.
Okay.
There's
Okay.
no doubt we're getting that matchup.
No doubt.
Um, and I think we can all agree that's probably going to determine the championship.
Hmm.
I don't see the Celtics, Bucks, Sixers, or Raptors, or even the Heat. I don't see any team coming out of the East and giving them a shot. It's going to be whoever comes out of that series, most likely. But I have also seen some NBA experts out there saying if there's ever a year where it's not a given that LeBron and the Lakers or Kawhi and Paul George and the Clippers are going to make it to the finals, it's this year, and to watch out for young teams because young teams are going to be able to get through this quarantine. They're going to
Oh,
be
I
in the
agree.
best. They're going to be in the best shape. And I even read somewhere, don't be surprised if a team like the Nuggets, a
The
team
Thunder.
like the Mavericks as well.
I didn't
Those
think about the
are the
Mavericks.
guys that young stars that have a shot. I heard Mavericks, Nuggets, and Celtics all do not be surprised. They're young and athletic. But ultimately, I don't think LeBron, Kawhi, they're gonna have the leg up. So then in my number 1 spot, I've said it over and over again, but it's just got to be opening day. Opening day is what I'm most excited for. I cannot wait for tomorrow night. Watching Garrett Cole's debut, I can't wait to see everyone overreacting on Twitter about it, acting like it's going to determine all of whether that contract was worth one start. But waking up on Friday morning too and watching all those games, I cannot wait for it. Let's hear your odd man out.
So, for my odd man out, I will start with my odd man out as usual. Number 6, watching Tom Brady win. Uh, you know, it's a given. Tom Brady's going to win. It's exciting to watch him win, especially where I go to school in Tampa. But again, it's Tom Brady. He's a winner. We know he's going to win every year. I'm very confident, Mark, that this Bucks team is going to go 10-6. I'm very confident that they're going to make it to a conference title, and I think they have a Super Bowl title within the next 2 years. Don't be surprised at all. Number 2, Yankees versus Red Sox. I will never get over this rivalry. I think it's one of the best rivalries in sports. I've been to 2 Yankees Red Sox games, and every single time the Yankees have won, and they have not disappointed. Mark, as a Phillies fan, uh, I'm trying to think of a rivalry game for you guys, like the Mets, right? When you guys play the Mets, isn't it a huge deal? Again, or forget the Mets. In general, when your team's playing a rival, the feeling in the stadium is just a different feeling, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
Exactly. I think Yankees versus Red Sox is just the perfect mix of people know that we're coming for their heads and they're coming for ours. And I think that's what makes the Yankees Red Sox rivalry so special. And number one, watching playoff Bron. I think playoff LeBron James is the best form of athlete in any single sport ever. He does things in the playoffs that are just unheard of. And I think he ages like fine wine, Mark. If you had to give me some of your most memorable LeBron playoff performances, what would you say?
Golden State, obviously Game 7. That's hands down. But also, I always go back to his first ever playoff run. Not first ever, but his NBA Finals loss, where he beat the Pistons team that had just won the championship with Chauncey Billups, Rasheed Wallace, Ben Wallace, and Rip Hamilton. He beats that team, goes to the NBA Finals with nobody on his team. I mean, you're talking about
Nobody.
Anderson Varejao and like Zydrunas Ilgauskas. Like they were horrible, and Mo Williams. So that's
And
when
Delonte
I
West.
realized exactly. And we won't get into Delonte West, but
Happy
that's when I
Father's Day.
first realized who LeBron really was and how great he was about to be.
All right, so that is our odd man out segment for today. If you guys have any recommendations for an odd man out segment, let us know. DM us on Instagram, swipe up on all of our posts, comment, just let us know at Mark and Graham Podcast on Instagram, the Mark and Graham Podcast on YouTube. All right, so we're going to move on to our next sport, and that is the NBA. So, Mark, really quick, if you want to give us an overview on what you think of the bubble, let's hear it.
I think, like I said before, I think they have the best shot at getting through this entire pandemic and finishing their season. I think as much as I love baseball, they're going to run into some major obstacles through this season because a lot of travel is involved. You know, even with them playing the East versus the East, the West versus the West, the Central versus the Central, the baseball is going to have some trouble dealing with travel. The NBA testing came back. No players have tested positive so far. I do think issues like with what happened with Rashawn Holmes and ordering food and getting caught with that there's going to be little things like that coming about. Maybe a player or two is going to somehow go against the rules and get fined. But I really think they're going to close things out. The only fear I have is, like I mentioned before, playoff basketball is not going to be the same. It's almost in baseball, even the fans don't feed into the moment as much as they do in basketball, in my opinion. It's
Agreed.
more of a sport about, think of all the moments in NBA history where something crazy happens, a crazy dunk, a crazy three, a block, and then you go into commercial break and the players erupt into emotion to the fans. Like, what's that going to look like? I just
Exactly. It really just, to me, it just doesn't connect. Like, I think that the finals are going to be great and playoffs are going to be great and the season's going to be great for the sole fact that these guys are in top shape. But I'm curious to see how no fans is going to interfere with how well they play. Because I feel like LeBron James, guys like that, they feed off the crowd. Guys like Joel Embiid, when they make a good play, the entire arena explodes. You know, when Joel Embiid gets a dunk or blocks someone, you could hear the Wells Fargo Center all the way from Lincoln Financial if you were in the stadium. It's that loud. And I know it's right next to each other, but they're huge stadiums. The point is that I feel like some guys need the fans there in order to perform. They need that. They need the camaraderie. They need the energy. But I will say this. I feel like the NBA did a fantastic job. I think they're going to have 0 COVID positive tests. And realistically, I feel like they did this right. There wasn't much arguing back and forth. I feel like Adam Silver just knew what he had to do, and they did it, and they didn't rush it. And overall, I think out of all major sports, I think basketball hit a home run.
Yeah, the bubble idea was a great one, and it's something that every sport really explored, but they were the only ones that capitalized on it. They really did. And it's even as far as the entertainment that they have for these players out there. Like they're able to play on golf courses and do some things like that, so they're not just clawing their eyes out every second they're not on the court. But the one thing though I will say is I don't like these players complaining about their meals. I don't.
Yeah, that's
I know people in the media had an issue with that, and I went both ways because some of it was in good fun, but at the same time, you have to have a sense for the moment and realize everything that's going on in the world right now. Like
exactly.
there's a lot bigger things, and
There's worse things going on.
I'll never fault a player for opting out. I won't. Like no matter what the reason is, if you opt out in any sport right now, you have to understand where they're coming from, and there's bigger things like Buster Posey in baseball opting out because he has premature twins that were just born and they're high risk, and he doesn't want to like take a chance and wants to be able to see his kids. Like I'll never fault a player like that.
Exactly.
But I will fault somebody that opts in to be in a league like this and then is going to has the audacity to complain about the meals they're getting. Like,
yeah, right. Like, bro, shut up. Like,
things.
exactly. There's worse problems in the world, and John Moran said it best. Like, he wasn't raised with a silver spoon in his mouth. Like, this is luxury. A lot of these guys are just trying to kill time. A lot of them brought their, gaming systems, they're fishing, just, spending time with their team. But again, I won't fault, like you said, anyone for opting out. All right, so me and Mark put together our thoughts of who is going to win the NBA awards, including Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, MVP, Most Improved Player, Sixth Man of the Year, and Finals MVP, as well as our NBA Finals prediction. So, Mark, do you want to start off with our Finals prediction, or would you like to kick it off with the awards?
Let's go with the awards first, and then we'll finish off with the finals. So we'll start with MVP, the biggest award of them all. I gotta go with LeBron, personally. I'm just a believer that the Bucks are kind of a fraudulent team in a terrible Eastern Conference. So I do love Giannis, but I think his numbers are inflated because he plays in the East, because he plays on a team where it's really just him. And for LeBron to be putting up these numbers alongside Anthony Davis, I think really speaks volumes. I'm of the belief that Anthony Davis being on his team actually makes his numbers more valuable than they do if he was like Giannis on a team by himself. So that's why I'm going LeBron. I think the Lakers are the best team in the league, and I think LeBron's playing at the highest level of his career.
That's a very good point. All right, so my MVP it just has to be Giannis. I don't know what it is. The guy's just an animal. He plays both sides of the court. I know LeBron does too, and this is like, trust me, I could say LeBron too. I think it's a very hard decision. So honestly, I might have to call you on a stalemate on this because I see your side, and Giannis and LeBron just go hand in hand. And I think that you could have arguments for Giannis, you can have arguments for LeBron. So I think I got to stalemate you there. I think either of them could win.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's definitely between those two. I've seen Luka's name around, and you know who's a sneaky pick? He's not going to get into the conversation, but Chris Paul. Chris Paul is a guy that is absolutely balling for the Thunder, and they have nobody besides him. I mean, he's carrying that team, but it's really a two-horse race. LeBron, Giannis, they're both in the mix, and it's crazy to think that the quarantine NBA bubble is going to determine the MVP because there's a lot to be decided there. It's not unanimous. All right, so next we have Rookie of the Year, another probably two-horse race, although Kendrick Nunn is a really good player as well. But I got to go Morant. I'm not a believer that Zion should even be considered with the amount of games he's played.
So I was going to say John Morant, but because of the sole fact, and I'll never get over this, and I know you're going to hate me for saying this because you're a Sixers fan, but the fact that Ben Simmons won Rookie of the Year over Donovan Mitchell, to me, I lost all hope with that award. So I'm going to go with Zion for the sole fact that I think the NBA is going to ride the Zion wave, unfortunately, but that's just how it is. I think Ja deserves it, but I know Zion's going to win it. like honestly, as a Sixers fan, don't you think that Donovan Mitchell deserved that Rookie of the Year award over Ben Simmons?
Not at all.
You're
I
full
think
of shit. You're full of
it.
shit.
I mean, they do the same thing, and I just
He
think
wasn't a
he didn't
rookie. He wasn't a rookie.
he didn't step on the court though. And I mean, think about baseball. In baseball, people get called up all the time at the end of the year. They get their first at bat, and then they're not considered a rookie until the next season. It's his first year. It's not like Ben Simmons even played a single game. My issue too with Zion is he shouldn't even be in the bubble right now. The NBA, it's very well known that they pretty much rigged this whole system to make sure that their must-see product was there and they could make money off him. Because the Pelicans are barely even in the playoff race and aren't probably going to make the playoffs. They made this weird rule that any team that was within 4.5 games or whatever it was of the playoffs, it gets invited to the bubble, and it magically cut off right at the Pelicans. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's hard to argue, especially if Ja is in the playoffs, that if the Grizzlies are positioned to play playoff basketball, he's going to win the award, I think. I hope.
I also agree and hope. All right, Coach of the Year. Who do you got, Mark?
I went Eric Spoelstra.
Okay, that's interesting.
Now, this is a guy who I don't know if he ever won it with the Heat before. He might have when he was first coming up, but he's always kind of been overlooked because he had such great players. He had LeBron and the Big Three Heat. He had Wade his entire career there. But ever since all these guys have disappeared, he is entrenched in the playoffs. And with a roster that really is just well built all around and all the players seem to mesh together, it seems like you never hear of a bust on the Heat. And that's a credit to coaching. Guys like their rookie class.
That's a good point.
Their rookie class is phenomenal. Tyler Hero, Kendrick Nunn,
Duncan Robinson.
Exactly. And even a guy like
all
Bam
led by Jimmy Butler.
Yes. And Bam Adebayo is now an all-star, one of the best big men in the league.
He's great, and he's only 23.
Exactly. We're going to talk about most improved player. He's a top candidate for that. And I think it's all just a credit to Spoelstra, getting everyone to mesh together and buy in. And we all know Jimmy Butler is not the easiest guy to coach. So
absolutely not.
Do not be surprised if the Heat find themselves in the finals. And Eric Spoelstra is to credit to that.
All right, so my Coach of the Year has to be Billy Donovan. 100%, no doubt. This Thunder's team that is ranked fifth, currently tied at 40-24 with the Houston Rockets, who have James Harden and Russell Westbrook. This Thunder team was not supposed to do good. This Thunder team was supposed to miss the playoffs. They're ranked fifth in a very hard Western Conference, led by who people thought sucked now, but Chris Paul's doing amazing. This team is good. I'm going to speak more about their roster in a minute, but they have 3 potential All-Stars in their starting lineup, 3 real All-Stars, if you want me to be honest with you. And I think Billy Donovan is really good at coaching young players because he has that experience coaching at UF. He has that championship experience there. And I think it's important because this is a very young team. So honestly, now that I talked about Billy Donovan, I'll just move to most improved player. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's leading the team in points right now. He was acquired from the Clippers in that Paul George trade. He's playing phenomenal right now. He's averaging over 20 points. He's one of the best. He is the best player on the team, and he really found his role. And I think that that's the most important thing that you have to realize is that these guys in Oklahoma City found their role. It wasn't an all-star. It wasn't a LeBron James, but they found their role, and it's working. So, Mark, who do you have for most improved player?
Well, this is interesting because we both paired our most improved player with our coach, and it's a guy I just brought up, Bam Adebayo. This is to turn himself into an all-star really out of nowhere. He's averaging 16 points a game, damn near just about 10 and a half, almost 11 rebounds, and 5 assists. He is a machine. You also throw in over a block and a half and a block and a half steals, a steal and a half per game. The guy is a machine defensively and offensively, and I'm most improved is about exactly what you said, like somebody that really came out of nowhere, isn't a star, but built themselves up to be
Agreed.
an all-star. That's Adebayo. I really think both of us for Coach of the Year and Most Improved, those we have really good candidates there, and it's going to be an interesting race to see. Those are two teams that are right in the playoff picture in the thick of things, and if they can stay there, these candidates are going to come home with the hardware.
Very, 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 very good point. And I definitely see what you're saying. And there's definitely a shot that they can come home with some hardware. This Heat team is very good. And I'm not doubting that. They're very young. That's the only thing you have to worry about. There's not much playoff experience on that team. Now, moving forward, before we talk about our finals predictions and our finals MVP prediction, sixth man of the year, I'm going to go with Lou Williams. The guy just ages like fine wine. And he's the perfect example of when you know your role on a team, you accept it, and you work so hard to exceed in that one role. And I think Lou Williams is the perfect example. You know, he had a pit stop in Philadelphia. You know what that was like. He was great in Philly. If you want to touch base on Lou Williams a little bit, Mark, what makes him better, or what makes him so good, you think?
Well, it's the classic example of a guy who it's kind of like he's better when there's less of him. And when he was with the Sixers, don't forget he was a starter. And that's why he was good, but he wasn't a star because the role wasn't right for him. He isn't a starter. And from there he went, I believe, to Houston was the first stop, and took off because he was coming off the bench and he was doing his thing. And there's certain guys who are just built for that. And that's what I'm praying, that Al Horford is a guy who's going to fit into that lesser role now with the Sixers. But you have to credit a guy who buys into a system. Being on the bench, it's not the easiest thing to do. It really isn't, because also in the NBA and in any sport, if you come off the bench, you're not always paid like you should because you're not considered a starter. Lou Williams bought in, and that's why he's a perennial sixth man of the year candidate.
Agreed.
As for mine is another guy who went from starting year after year to taking a back seat, taking a lesser role as coming off the bench. And, this is one of the most heartfelt stories in sports right now, Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose is a
Oh,
guy who
I like that.
he's got a shot. Sixth man of the year.
That's a good one. I didn't think about that. That's good. I like Derrick Rose a lot too.
Averaging about 18 points with Detroit. I know they're not a great team. They're not. Are they in the bubble? I don't think so. But
No, they're not in the bubble.
Derrick Rose did do his thing this season. Nobody will forget the game where he was that actually no, that might have been in Minnesota where he was
That was
crying
last year.
afterward.
That was last year.
But last year was awesome to see him bounce back with the Timberwolves, and this year he took it a step forward and was even better with Detroit. Both not very good teams, but he did his thing. Derrick Rose deserves some credit. I'm going sixth man of the year. He could also, though, be a candidate for most improved player.
Totally understood. Now, let's think of the finals now. I'm going to just say it. I think this is going to be Clippers, Celtics, and I think just because the Clippers are so lethal, I'm going to go Clips in 6 or Clips in 5, with my finals MVP being Kawhi Leonard because he's just too freaking nasty. Kawhi Leonard is so freaking good. I've never seen a player like him. I've never seen someone have to be worried about so much on the court. Everyone's always worrying about where's Kawhi. Kawhi Leonard's going to win finals MVP. That's my prediction.
I really respect that, and I like your Celtics pick a lot because
you know what? And let me explain that. Me and Mark touched base on this earlier. It's all about young teams. People don't understand that they've had all this time off. They've been getting healthy. It's all about who has the freshest legs. You look at the Celtics roster, they are all under the age of 28. Tatum, Brown, Walker, Hayward. This is a good team. They have weapons all over, and I think that they're going to come in full force, and I would not doubt for a second that we are going to see the Bucks get upset early in this playoffs.
I 100% agree with you on that. And that's why my playoff prediction, I have a really tough time with the East because I think it's going to be a gauntlet, and I don't buy into the Bucks at all. I really don't. Giannis has yet to prove he can do it in the playoffs, and it's because when he runs into a big man in the playoffs, it's difficult. That's the only way you stop Giannis is you get a big guy to stand there, clog the middle, and throw his hands up in the air, and that's your only real shot. Now, the Celtics would 100% be my pick if it wasn't for the fact that they lost a guy like Al Horford, and I think that's going to hurt them against a team like the Bucks because Enes Kanter's their guy now, but how much is he going to be able to carry you? You need that big guy down the lane. I don't buy the Raptors, and as much as I love my Sixers, they did not impress me this year before the quarantine, and I have a hard time believing without practicing together they're going to be any better afterwards. So I'm going with a surprise. I think that it's going to be a LeBron, his old team versus new team, Miami Heat against the Lakers. I really buy into the Heat. I buy into Bam Adebayo. You're talking about a guy in Jimmy Butler who's mad and really performs in the playoffs. Spoelstra's been there. He's got experience. I think the East is right up for grabs between the Heat and the Celtics. I'm giving the leg up to the Heat just because I like the storyline, honestly. And it's close to home. It's close to home. The bubble is close to Miami.
All right, I'm just going to get Mark to – wow. Mark just said that the Heat are going to beat the Lakers in the finals. Wow.
No,
if you get this –
No, they're playing in the finals.
Oh, okay. LeBron's going to beat the Heat. Okay, never mind.
Yes,
I misunderstood what you said.
No. I wouldn't.
Okay, I was like, Mark, are you smoking or like what's going on?
Heat in the finals against the Lakers, and then obviously I have LeBron winning finals MVP, but I think that makes a lot of sense in the bubble, and I would love, as much as I would love the storyline of the Heat making the finals as well.
Very interesting. I definitely like that pick of the Heat. All I know is that in a few years, we could start seeing the Eastern Conference as a whole get much better and equal to the West, because the West has reigned supreme since Kobe was around. Rest in peace, that man's soul. Yeah, so moving on to our final segment. Mark, if you want to go over this.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to dig into some baseball. I'm excited about it. Like I keep saying, I could talk baseball all day long. This could be a solely baseball podcast if I really wanted it to be. But I cannot wait for tomorrow. Your Yankees are going on out there. Are you excited for that game? What do you think about that? Do you think
Bro, listen. Garrett Cole is going to shut down the Nationals. I'm telling you now, the Yankees bats have been hot. Every game we've played so far, we've seen mega home runs. I feel like the Yankees are just itching to get back out there, and I really, really think you're going to see something special.
Yeah, against Scherzer, too. Scherzer's last start was against the Phillies in their exhibition game, and the Phillies clobbered him. He didn't look great. Harper went yard, as well as Didi Gregorius, the former Yankee. So I'm very excited to see him. And then against my Phillies, the Yankees played on Monday night. Aaron Judge hit a home run. So I'm just excited to watch baseball. I'm like giddy talking about it. But we're going to get into some awards picks right now. And
yes, sir.
Also our World Series picks. So to start it off, me personally, my MVPs and Cy Youngs are all guys who have recently taken home hardware. That's because in a 60 game season, I just think you're talking about a lot of the players who have dominated year after year are going to do the same. It's not going to be a lot of surprises.
And here's the interesting part, Mark. You say that, and every year it's always the same thing. The All-Star break hits, and it's how are they performed post All-Star break? The All-Star break ends. Whenever you ask someone statistics, they've been hitting 330 since the All-Star break. They've had 20 home runs since the All-Star break. This is going to be so important that we are seeing post All-Star break baseball the entire time. So we are going to see players playing at their max. Like you said, Mark, 60 games, super important. So what do you have for your MVPs and Cy Youngs? Because I as well have people that have recently taken home hardware.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why for me, a guy who should have just won his second straight NL MVP last year, if it wasn't for a late season injury that gave Cody Bellinger the edge, I'm going Christian Yelich. That's my favorite player in baseball right now. I think he's going to rake. I think young players like him work their ass off over the not even the off season, over the quarantine season. And that's just somebody that I think is going to put up numbers in a 60-game year. Then for my AL MVP, I can't pick against Trout, although I'm a little nervous with a pregnant wife. There's a shot a young baby could maybe make him opt out if the Angels started to slump or fall out of the picture. But I'm going to say I also think the Angels are going to be very improved because of Rendon. So, and a healthy Shohei Ohtani, I really think that if Trout makes the playoffs, his numbers are clearly going to win him MVP. Those are my two picks for MVP. Let's hear yours.
So, excuse me, sorry. For MVP, it's just the season's too short for me to make a big prediction right now, so I'm going to have to play it safe. Trout and Bellinger. You got to stick with the talent. They are young, they are amazing, and there's no reason why I have to sit here and tell you why they should win MVP. These guys perform on a constant basis. They have the two prettiest swings in the MLB. It's pretty obvious. But there's just too many facts supporting them winning MVP for me not to say Cody Bellinger. What do you like about Cody Bellinger that would maybe have you sway towards him?
I love Bellinger too. For me, the only difference really between him and Yelich is I think there's more opportunity for a letdown with Bellinger because his swing is so overbearing. I mean, you watch it. It's the same reason why you love your Yankees players, Judge and Stanton. It's an all or nothing swing, and it's the same reason Judge and Stanton have kind of fallen off of the MVP level because they don't hit for high averages, but they're going to hit bombs. Bellinger is similar, except he hit at such a ridiculous level last year that the average was great too, and it gave him MVP. I just think that Yelich hits a little bit more consistently, but the difference between the two, that's going to be a battle for NL MVP for year after year for the next decade.
Now, really quick, I have Yankees over the Dodgers in 7 games. That's my World Series prediction because the Yankees are amazing and they're going to win the World Series. But that's besides the point. Mark, really quick, just because I thought about this on my head, between Bellinger, Trout, and Yelich, one being the nicest, third being the last, rank how satisfying watching them hit a home run is.
Bellinger's got to be one. He's got the sweetest swing.
That follow through. It's like a golf swing. It's like,
oh, absolutely. His swing's got to be one. It's everything looks sweeter from the left side. So Yelich is my 2 because he's a lefty and it always looks a little bit better. And Trout, it just looks so easy.
It looks so easy. He makes it look so easy. Yeah.
It's really crazy. And then how about your Cy Young picks?
Cy Young, my boy Garrett Cole, and my boy Max Scherzer. Scherzer and Garrett Cole for years have just been putting up numbers. And in 60 games, I don't think dark horse pitchers are going to have enough time to really get enough starts to show that they're better than them, because usually after the 10 start range is when you start seeing pitchers slip off, as we saw last year with like Paxton. You see it with a lot of the Red Sox pitchers. Like they're really good in April and they suck by the time October runs around. Just little things like that. So I'm just going to have to stick with what I think, and that's going to be Scherzer and Garrett Cole. So, Mark, did you give your Cy Youngs?
No, I did not yet. It's interesting. Your Cy Youngs are going to battle it out tomorrow night on opening night.
Exactly, and I think that's going to be super exciting.
Shows you how great of a matchup that is. So for me, my Cy Youngs are Blake Snell in the AL. He won it 2 years ago. Sorry. I think he's going to be ridiculous this year. I really like Garrett Cole too, but I think he was so great last year that I have a hard time arguing that playing in a smaller ballpark, that he's going to have a better season than he did last year. So I think it's going to be a small step back, but he still is going to be a stud. And then in the NL, I'm going for a DeGrom three-peat. I think he's that good. I
Three-peat.
really do. DeGrom it's just, he is so good and still so young. It's the difference between him and Scherzer for me. There's a couple guys in the NL who could be dark horses, but like you said, I really think the big guns are going to shine. And that's why my World Series is the same as yours, except I got the Dodgers pulling it out. The Dodgers winning and Mookie Betts as your World Series MVP. Betts looks phenomenal in the early exhibition games. He is playing so well, just is about to get paid too, which I'm going to touch on in a little bit. But Mookie Betts has got to be my pick for World Series MVP over the Yankees.
Mookie Betts got paid. But we'll touch base on that after. So what me and Mark decided to do was pretty much draft our most perfect lineup, per se. One pitcher, one catcher, three outfielders, and an infield. We're going to post this online to hear what you guys think. We're going to have a vote whose team is better. So, Mark, just quickly going through your team, you don't have to explain each player because we picked the All-Stars. We don't have to explain one. All-Stars and All-Star. They're amazing. Let's hear your perfect lineup. And you could start with your outfield. We can go outfield, whatever you want to do. So just start spitting. Let's hear it.
So I'm going to start with, we'll go straight down the diamond. So catcher to pitcher. Wilson Contreras is my catcher.
Okay.
Great player, great swing. Catcher's limited in terms of choices. Pete Alonso, Rookie of the Year, as my first baseman. I got a little surprised at second base, Ketel Marte, up-and-coming young guy with the Diamondbacks. Big fan. Second base, though, once again, very bad position in terms of MLB talent. Third base, Arenado, one of my favorite players in the league, to go alongside Fernando Tatis Jr., who I think is, talk about dark horse candidates for MVP. Do not be surprised if Fernando Tatis is a guy you're talking about late in the season as an MVP candidate. He's that good. Christian Yelich.
He was very good last year.
Exactly. And he would have been NL Rookie of the Year if it wasn't for a late injury and Pete Alonso.
Yep.
Pete Alonso. So Christian Yelich is in my outfield, my pick for NL MVP. Then you got Ronald Acuna, another guy who a lot of people think has a shot at MVP this year. And then Cody Bellinger, your NL MVP, closing out my outfield, and my NL Cy Young, Jacob deGrom on the mound.
All right, so there we go. Again, Mark's will be up next to mine on Instagram, so let's go through mine. Starting at catcher, Mark, your boy JT Realmuto. I think he's a great hitter, and I think he's an even better fielder. I think he's one of those catchers that took, maybe 2-3 years to get better, but I think he's progressed into something really, really good. And the Phillies haven't had a really good catcher since Carlos Ruiz, and he wasn't even amazing, He was just a World Series catcher, so he's automatically better. Pitcher, obviously, I got to go with my boy Garrett Cole. I got to have some Yankees in the lineup. I actually have 3 Yankee players in this lineup. If we're gonna go to, I'm gonna start at first base. Freddie Freeman, his lefty swing is beautiful. Mark, you watch Freddie Freeman a lot. What do you think of Freddie Freeman?
It's not even close. He's the best first baseman in the league by a mile. Sucks that he just got COVID recently, but it looks like he returned to camp. People talk about the young talent on the Braves, and they forget about a guy in Freeman who's been there for damn near a decade now at this point. Freddie Freeman is a staple in the NL East, and he's the best first baseman in the league. Think about all the guys that he came up with when first base was the cream of the crop in baseball. Pujols, Miggy, Votto, Adrian Gonzalez. Freddie Freeman has outlasted all of those guys and is still there today as the best first baseman in the league.
So second base, I think the best hitting second baseman, one of the best hitters, and one of the best overall fielders in the MLB. DJ LeMahieu. I think he's like a renaissance man. LeMahieu could play first. LeMahieu could play right. LeMahieu could play second. I think LeMahieu is such a good hitter. He hits everything, and it doesn't really matter where you throw it. He'll always find a way to make contact, and I think that he was someone that the Yankees pretty much got for free from the Rockies, and I think, the Rockies were like, here you go, have an awesome guy, thank you. Shortstop, I had Francisco Lindor, but I really like Javi Baez. I just like how showy he is, and I like the enthusiasm he brings. So I know it's kind of a crime, but I'm going to take Javi Baez over Francisco Lindor. I'm going to take Alex Bregman at third. Listen, I get he's a cheater, but there's no doubt that the talent is there. Mark, can you argue? Listen, do you agree with me that, yes, the Astros were cheating? But say they didn't cheat, do you think they would still have as much success as they did? I thought the talent was there on that team.
Yeah, you're going to see it this year, especially people. Garrett Cole wasn't on the cheating team, and he was on the team. Like, if you don't think that the Astros still made the World Series last year because they're the Astros, then you're crazy. They're the most talented team in baseball. You're going to see it this year. Like, it's just it's hard to argue. They are loaded, and as much as everyone hates the players on that team, anybody would take any single guy on the roster on their team.
Sure. So my outfield, this is beautiful. This is so beautiful. Aaron Judge, Mike Trout, Mookie Betts. Can't get any better than that. I think Mookie Betts, he was he was a part of the Red Sox team that wasn't that good. But anytime the Yankees played the Red Sox and we would kill them, Mookie Betts was always the one to give that team some life. So I'm glad that he moved to LA. He got his big contract, and overall, he got what he deserved, and that was getting paid. So those are our teams. Mark and I are going to throw them up on our Instagram at @MarkandGraham_podcast, and we want you guys to vote on who has the better team. All right, so Mark, if you want to go straight into our final segment of Mark and Graham, go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we didn't do a clown of the day today, and I'm sorry if you guys love that segment, but it'll be back once things calm down a little. There was just too much to talk about today. We are going to close it out with a Mark and Graham. And, this is the guy who just capitalized on what was going on in the past week or so. And this is where we look for the guys who really stood out in the news. And for me, my pick is two guys sharing it who both, one just got paid like no other, and the other is about to get paid. And that is first Patrick Mahomes, the $503 million man, 10-year deal, something that is going to break the history of football and the quarterback position. I mean, he just literally said F you to the Dallas Cowboys, who are trying to find a way to overpay Dak Prescott, because now he's going to ask for God knows how much money. Deshaun Watson's about to get paid. Lamar Jackson, I can't imagine what he's going to get. So
money.
Patrick
But,
Mahomes,
Lamar Jackson needs to do what he did again.
I agree. And the other issue is he's a running quarterback, so you have to deal with the injury rate. He's not going to get the same deal for that reason, but he'll still get paid. My thing with Mahomes' contract, though, is Andy Reid better put on his coaching cap, because in 3 years, they are going to have nobody on that team. You really just handicapped yourself. Is Patrick Mahomes worth it? Obviously. But this is a situation where you really better draft well year after year. They did a great job this past draft with Edwards-Helaire from LSU, the championship winning running back. But anyway, Patrick Mahomes, congratulations. You are my mark of the day. And slightly, I'm also giving it to Mookie Betts, who it hasn't been agreed to terms yet, but apparently he's going to choose to stay in LA with that loaded roster that includes
he got
Bellinger.
He got a contract. He got a contract. 13 years, $380 million.
It's official?
It's official. He signed it.
Yeah, and the one thing I will have to say about that, everyone who completely ripped the Bryce Harper deal, it's a very similar deal. Is Mookie Betts maybe a little bit more valuable than Bryce? It's possible, but they're around the same level of a player, and he got paid a very similar deal. So that's my final statement on that. Both Mookie Betts and Patrick Mahomes, congratulations.
There we go. My gram of the day is Commissioner Adam Silver. Adam Silver, thank you for all your hard work. You put on the perfect example of what a commissioner should be doing in this time, and we have NBA basketball back, and there will be no issues. So that is all we have for this episode of Welcome Back Sports. As always, I'm Logan. This is my co-host, Mark. Follow us on Instagram at Mark Ingram Podcast. This is episode 18. Thank you all again.
All right, we'll see you guys later.